Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you for joining me for this amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs. My name is Simon Javan Okello, and I'm really excited for today's session because we are going all the way to Ethiopia, but virtually, and we are going to discuss an amazing proverb that I'm about to share with you. I just want you to stay with me for a moment while I set up our room on Clubhouse. I appreciate you all for being with us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's one of the ways that you can support this great movement that we've been building for a while. We also have a great community that we are, growing on Clubhouse and really across the world that is centered around African Proverbs, where every single day, Monday to Friday, from 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we gather and we talk about beautiful African proverbs, and then we discuss what they mean to each one of us who is listening, each one of us who is watching on YouTube, and also each one of us who is going to come across this content later on, whether it's online or in our living room somewhere. We just hope that our time here helps us, gain African wisdom, so that as we navigate life today, we have a beautiful African proverb that can also help us with that navigation, because we all always need a little bit of support here and there in order for us to continue growing and thriving in our communities, no matter where we are. My name is Simon Okello, and I love hosting this show because I gain so much from it. So I want to invite you, if you're on Clubhouse, to join us on the stage so that you can also participate in helping us understand what today's proverb means and also contributing your voice. The proverb from Ethiopia says that cow dung cannot be gathered where no cow has been. Cow dung cannot be gathered where no cow has been. This Ethiopian proverb is very, very wise, and it can be applied to many situations in our lives. If you want something, you have to put in the work to get what you want. And a lot of the time, what you want is not exactly where you are. You have to seek it. You have to learn even how to seek what you want. You have to, come up with a routine. You have to come up with a process. You have to work hard. You have to build a network. You have to demonstrate that what you're looking for, you are really ready for it, So that is what this proverb is, advising us about. And this proverb is true whether it's in business, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in, in parenting. This proverb is relevant. And we are going to, in just a few minutes, we are going to learn why. And I want to first share with you the 3 nuggets that we gathered. Every day at the beginning of our time together, we share the 3 nuggets of wisdom that, you can take away during our conversation today. Before I do that, I want to invite you, if you are watching this show right now on YouTube, I want to ask you to remember to share the link with your community members. Make sure you share the link to this live stream with your community members. Leave a comment right there on YouTube where you're watching, and also remember to subscribe. If you're on Clubhouse, the link to the YouTube live stream is right at the top of the room on Clubhouse, and you can just tap that link and also join us on YouTube, where we have a great number of community members joining us from across the world. And then if you are on Clubhouse, these are how you can actually be more engaged right now. Number one, you can join us on the stage I've invited everybody who is on Clubhouse to join us on the stage. Hand raising is still open. Number 2, I want you to share this room. I want to see the number of shares going up. So make sure you share this room on Twitter, on Instagram as a story, on WhatsApp, on Facebook. Share it across all the social media platforms that you have some form of presence. That would really, really be appreciated. And also lastly, if you're on Clubhouse, make sure you ping 3 to 5 people, invite some of your friends who are currently on Clubhouse to also join us for this incredible conversation. I always believe that every day when we gather here for the Daily African Proverbs, we are making history, we are making history because literally we are going back in time and getting these proverbs and then discussing them in a very unique way, in a way that is very similar to how growing up, my grandmother used to gather us around the fire. She had a tiny kitchen where she made most of the food for the whole homestead. But after all the eating was over and everybody was going to bed, she would bring all the grandchildren into this tiny kitchen because it was the warmest place in the homestead. And then that's where she would tell us stories. We would talk about how our day was. And for me, that's important, and that's why I love bringing this show to you every single day so that we can learn African wisdom and we can preserve our culture one proverb at a time. So here are the 3 nuggets that were inspired by today's proverb. I have 3 daughters, by the way. The youngest is 3.5 years old. And a lot of the time I listen to this show afterwards, after we end it, after we end the live stream, I always listen to the show on Apple Podcast while I'm driving. And my last-born daughter is always with me for some reason when I'm listening to the podcast. And then she always hear me say nuggets, and she's so used to chicken nuggets, so she always asks me, what is a nugget? Daddy, what is a nugget? And I always tell her that a nugget is an idea, or a point, or something that you can put in your pocket, so I just love this concept of using the word nugget because it's true that every day we bring you 3 different ideas that were inspired by this proverb. So number 1, you can't achieve anything if you don't put in the work. There's nothing that you can achieve if you don't put in the work. That's what this proverb is telling us. I'll repeat the proverb just quickly for those who are just joining us. The proverb says that cow dung cannot be gathered where no cow has been. Cow dung cannot be gathered where no cow has been. So I just shared with you the first nugget. You cannot achieve anything if you don't put in the work. Many people, though, can achieve a lot without putting in enough work. They can achieve a lot through corruption, which is very common. Here in the US, it's common, but it's well hidden, In Kenya, where I come from originally, it's rampant and it's hard to hide, and the internet is helping bring a lot of corruption cases out in the open. There are a lot of things that are done that are illegal by politicians. But right now, something really interesting is going on in Kenya. A lot of people who had cases against politicians who have been picked for cabinet positions are withdrawing their cases in droves. And, it's also because there is work being put into, threatening these people, threatening the lives of their family members. It's just a crazy situation right now. So, I want to say that many people achieve so much without putting in the work through corruption and through a lot of illegal means. And, it doesn't last long if you take that direction. Number 2, there's no use complaining about something if you're not willing to do something about it. If you can't do something about it, for example, right now, there's a revolution that is going on in Iran. Women are leading a revolution where they're demanding for a lot of changes to happen in Iran. And someone like me, I might only retweet what is going on. I might only join rooms and maybe help spread the word. I might join spaces where conversations about what's happening in Iran is happening and show support that way. But, that's not enough. That's not enough. So instead of complaining that, what's going on in Iran is dangerous and so on and so forth, I can show support, but I know that I can't do much, so I can't go complaining about it or talking too much about it. I just do what I can based on where I am instead of talking about why it's not a good thing, and also many times if you are unable to deliver on things that are expected of you, you end up complaining and pointing fingers at other people, blaming other people, while you just need to be responsible for what has been presented to you. So that's our second nugget. The third nugget, the final nugget here, is that you have to start from somewhere to get anywhere. This proverb is reminding us that where you are is okay. You might not be at the place where you'd like to be, but that's okay. That is probably a part of the journey that you need to be on in order for you to get to where you want to go. All of us are on a journey. Nobody is perfect. None of you who are watching this or listening to today's episode of the African Father in America podcast, nobody is perfect. And this is a reminder that we are all on a journey, and we should remember that you cannot gather cow dung where cows have not been. And if you think about it even further, cow dung is a really, really important commodity. You might just think that cow dung is poop, but growing up, cow dung was used like cement. It was used for construction. It was used for decoration. There were floors that were beautifully decorated with cow dung, and then you'd take like Sisal and really decorate on the cow dung, and it would really look nice, So things that you might think are not valuable are really, really valuable in many, many parts of the world. And also cow dung can be used for, other reasons, other. For example, in South Sudan, where I worked for a number of years, cow dung was very important as an insect repellent. You'd burn it, you dry it and burn it, and it would chase away all the flies and the bees. So whenever you see a commodity or something that might be useless in your own setting, it might be very, very important. And that's why our ancestors gave us this proverb, just to enlighten us to the value of cow dung, but also to the value of putting in the work in everything that you'd like to accomplish. So with those opening comments, I just want to welcome you all to today's daily African Proverbs. And I want to also mention that today is a big holiday. I want to just grab a little text here that kind of describes what today's holiday is. I think it's called Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement. There's a couple of people who come here every Wednesday, and they're not here today because they're observing this ceremony or this annual event. And if you are one of those people who are observing this and you took the time to join us, I just want to thank you so much. Right now, I want to open the floor. I want to hear other voices who are here with me. And I really, really want to thank everyone who has joined us on YouTube. Leave us a comment just with where you're joining us from so that I can give you a shout out. For now, I want to bring Stella on so that Stella can also share her perspective on today's conversation. Share with us where you are at the moment, how you're doing, and also what today's proverb means to you, Stella. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. Hello, everyone. This is Stella from Kenya. And today's proverb that is talking about cow dung is such a beautiful one because back in the days, we used cow dung to decorate houses. And even in school, there was just a day that you would come with cow dung and mix with the soil and use it to decorate the classrooms. But I think nowadays people have outgrown such things and people are not using cow dung anymore. I remember there's a day I was telling one of my grandmothers who is still alive that long time ago people were using cow dung to decorate the house. Why can't we do it for her house, which has been kind of upgraded? And then she was like boasting that no. Right now we can't use cow dung. But I used to find it beautiful and just the way this proverb is putting it, that you can't gather cow dung where no cow has been, which is simply true. You can't reap where you didn't sow. You can't get anything when you don't put in the work. So it's an encouragement, and it's just encouraging us to keep working on our goals and dreams because we'll finally achieve them as long as we keep working on them. Otherwise, thank you, Simon. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Stella. I appreciate that. You can't reap where you didn't sow. That's really true. That's really true. And this proverb speaks to that. And as you're speaking about carrying cow dung and taking it to school for decorations, I remember seeing that. And it's one of the things that I was hoping I would do. But in our school, we were not, we didn't have to bring that. But in other schools near where we lived, they had to do that. And I think it was great. And I miss those days too. I want to welcome everyone joining us for today's conversation here in the African Father in America Club on Clubhouse. If you have not followed the club, this is a good opportunity for you to do that. And also invite others, nominate 3 to 5 people to also join the African Father in America Club. I want to open the mic to Lavender so that Lavender can also share her own perspective in regards to today's proverb. Also, let us know where you're joining us from today, Lavender.
Hi, Simon. Hi, everyone. Simon, can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. This is Lavender. I'm speaking from Seattle, Washington. My thoughts on today's proverb: cow dung cannot be gathered where no cow has been. What comes to mind when I read out this proverb is that whenever there's something big, whenever there's a blessing, there has to be, because of lack of any other word I can use, there has to be shit dropping here and there. It's never going to be perfect. When you're about to break through, you'll find that there are obstacles here and there. And these obstacles are good things. And they help us grow. They help us plan for the next time we have something we are working on or something we are planning. It helps us strategize better. And cow dung has so many benefits, including cow dung is a huge part of construction of thatched houses back in the villages in Kenya, at least, because I come from Kenya, and cow dung is very valued. In the ecosystem, cow dung is also used as fertilizer. So you find that we use things, we not necessarily use things, but cow dung is a huge part of a home, a community. It has its benefits, even though some people feel it's smelly, or there's usually an important to anything other people look down upon. That's me for today. Thank you, Simon.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I appreciate your perspective. Yeah, everything. You might see that something is not valuable to you, but it's very valuable to another person. So I appreciate that. And I want to welcome Brother Earth so that we can also hear your perspective on today's proverb. Brother Earth, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts on the proverb today?
Peace and love, family. This is Brother Earth. I'm coming from the North Carolina territory, and always honor you and the family for sharing the wisdom of the ancestors. And it's a couple of different ways that I can look at this proverb, but the way that stands out to me the most, or what I say it says to me the most, is um, be mindful of your mission and your environment to be, to be able to maximize things. And because it's almost like this, you wouldn't, if you lived at the top of the mountains, you wouldn't try to sell surfboards. You have to be in the proper place with the proper things in order to make the most of it. And there's another saying that older people used to say, you know, you can't get something from nothing. So, just being mindful to where you are and, what you're trying to do, you can put yourself in the best possible position. And I come in love and leave in peace, Brother Earth.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Earth. It's very, very hard to get something out of nothing. I love your perspectives as well. Let's hear from Stephen briefly. Share with us where you are, where you're joining us from, and what your perspective on today's proverb is. Thank you so much.
Hello, Simon. Hello, everyone. I'm Steven, joining from Kisumu, Kenya. Thank you for having me, Simon, and for this beautiful proverb of today. What comes to my mind when I read this proverb? Cow dung cannot be gathered where no cow has been. It
Seems like we lost Steve right there. Oh, keep going.
reminds myself in. So, and also reminds me of looking at the positive and the negative and the positive attributes of every situation that I get myself in. For instance, the situation I'm looking at right now of a cow dung, like it might look like something very ugly, something very messy, something very unpresentable that one wouldn't wish to associate himself or herself with. But if I reflect many years back, cow dung was one of the most valued commodity uh, to farmers uh, in Africa and across the world. Because if you didn't have a cow shed or you didn't collect cow dung, people would travel and into your homestead just to buy the cow dung that you are collecting besides your shed. so that they can use the fertilizer as fertilizer in their farms. So to me, it is just an eye opener or a reminder that we should be looking at both the benefits and the positive parts, sides of everything that we come across in our walks of life. Thank you, Simon. That was my moment.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate that. I remember you and I actually, when we were, together in Kenya, how, you know, how we were actually looking for cow dung and going from home to home where we were told that there were heaps of cow dung and going to purchase it for our gardens. I remember those memories very, very fondly. So thank you again for your perspectives and taking your time to join us today. I want to come to Melissa. Melissa, how are you doing today? Where are you at the moment? And what are your perspectives on today's proverb?
Oh, Simon, it's so good to be here. I love coming into your club and your amazing YouTube channel that you have where we look at African proverbs. I actually invited, a team member to come in, my vice president who's based in Lagos, Nigeria. And I also see my executive directors in the house too. So we love enlightenment. We're philosophers. So you got to come where philosophy is, and you're bringing it from the ancient times. I love it. This proverb I really like. Cow dung cannot be gathered where no cow has been. What strikes me about it is the last part, where no cow has been. Meaning, for me, that my experiences or my success comes from experience. That I need to recognize that for me to really grow, I have to go through my experiences. I have to go through what I need to go through. I think that what makes cow dung so valuable is the nutrients within it. You can really grow crops. You can do so much with it. And like you said, it's so versatile, but it's got its nutrients. And I think that my experiences that I go through, they nourish me. They help me to make informed decisions. And sometimes, you know, if you think about, like, if you're literal about cow dung, it can seem crude, it can seem smelly, and all. It doesn't seem as if it has anything to offer you. And that's how sometimes our life can be. Sometimes our life can be crude. Sometimes our lives can be difficult. Because our lives can be smelly. They can be not pleasant. But that is where I get some of my greatest lessons. I get some of my most wise decisions from my most difficult times or my biggest challenging moments. And so I just really, that's how this proverb, metastasized in my mind and what it brought to the surface. And thank you so much. And I'm Melissa done speaking.
Thank you so much. I love how you also share with us that, where you feel that things could be so messy is where the biggest lessons in life could be. So I appreciate that so much. And I also appreciate you bringing your team, to join us for today's conversation. I just want to invite Iset as well to be on the stage and introduce herself. We are here for the Daily African Proverbs. This is the African Father in America podcast. We are actually recording, and this recording is going to be available across all podcasting platforms in the next hour or so. So I just thank you for, being here and helping grow this community. Now I want to hear from Gozi. Gozi, go ahead and introduce yourself, share with us where you are and what today's proverb from Ethiopia means to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Simon. Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you so much, everybody on stage. I so much appreciate being here. So, today's proverb is one of the amazing proverbs because the ending really got to me where no cow has been. Because this, okay, okay, sorry, I need to introduce myself, right? I'm Gozie. I'm the vice president of You Think Indigo, and I'm based in Nigeria, Lagos to be precise. So I'll go to the topic of the day. That's cow dung cannot be gathered where no cow has been. You understand? So what really strikes me about the proverb is like what Marisa says, it's based on experience. Like for instance, you can't tell me what I know in Nigeria. I know a lot and much more. I have much more knowledge here in Nigeria than anybody outside. You cannot be outside and out like let's use an instance now. I'm in Nigeria, right? So you cannot be in the US or maybe in the UK and tell me that okay, there's something going on in Nigeria that I don't know about, I don't know hear about because it's my experience or have a lot of experience in that field in Nigeria. You understand? So that's one of the proof. This proof just that's how it struck me because your experience matters and it shapes and transform your life in a way. So and it also tells about this other proverb I remembered. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Abi? Yes, you can't have your cake and eat it too. This proverb stretched into that other proverb I'm just talking about because you can't get two options. You can't just desire for two options. You have to have one. You understand? So I hope you're able to understand me. Thank you so much for letting me speak on stage.
You're most welcome. Thank you. I love the background noise from Lagos. I feel like I'm there with you. So I also appreciate your perspective on today's proverb. It means a lot that you are able to join us today. I want to continue on and hear from Iset. Asante, how are you doing today, Iset? And where are you joining us from? And what does today's proverb mean to you?
Thank you, Simon. My name is Iset. I am a Jamaican Canadian and I'm also an artisan. And I am also a sentient learner. And I am a student of Indigenous cosmologies. And I'm also the executive director with You Think Indigo, which is a global think tank. I came in here as I saw Melissa shared the room, and I appreciate your invite to join the stage. Anything that has to do with Indigenous cosmologies is always going to pique my interest. So I'm proud to be here on the stage with you all and to support this conversation. Thank you for having me. In relationship to the topic, how it sits with me, is it makes me think about when I think there's a saying, something about like you have to take the bitter with the sweet. So when I think about cow dung cannot be gathered where no cow has been, it makes me think about how sometimes in life, some of us want to reap certain things, we want to experience certain things, but we do not want to experience the totality of it. So it also reminds me of when my mom used to say, you shouldn't covet the lives of others because you do not know all that it took for them to be standing where they are. So these are some of the things that come up where, as people, sometimes we want to experience the beauty of things or our perceptions of things, or this is what's beautiful, this is what's ugly, this is what's positive, this is what's negative, or whatever the term that we would associate with it. But what I get from it is being able to receive all of it in such a way that we can find like a wholeness in whatever it is that we are receiving. So thank you for my opportunity to share my thoughts and my first time in your club on your stage. So I look forward to checking out your YouTube link and I will join your club. Thank you. I set the mic.
Thank you so much, Iset. I appreciate your perspective and I deeply appreciate the work you all do, with You Think Indigo. Melissa, do you just want to speak briefly for those who are hearing from, your team in regards to the work you do so that, you can just educate us briefly about what you do and how everyone who is listening and watching can join? I would love to actually, Melissa, I'll send you a link so that you can book a session for me to interview you on this podcast. I think that would be a great way to continue building.
Absolutely. And shout out to our president who just came in the building. We tend to travel in a pack. It's really funny. We don't coordinate it at all. But 99% of my team was recruited from Clubhouse. So it's really neat. We have a kind of a unique culture because of that. But you think Indigo is a global think tank. And if some of you are not familiar with what a think tank is, a think tank is a company that you come to help you solve any kind of challenges or difficulties within your organization or in your life. And so we actually help people not only with something that may be going on in their company, their school system, or their family, but we also help them to deal with issues that are going on within themselves. And we center it around a philosophy called the Indigo Approach, which is a guide to conscious learning. So we help people to wake up to their innate intelligence and abilities within themselves, and we started off as a company called Blue Star Virtual Learning. So when I first met Simon, he saw me as a person really helping families come up with customized learning plans for themselves. But in May, we rebranded and decided to rename the company after my learning style. And so I'm what's called an Indigo Learner. I'm a highly intuitive being who actually is able to crunch probability neurologically. And so, that is a very unique type of manifestation of my academic and intellectual ability. And I knew it, and I was tested at Duke University when I was about 4 or 5 years old. But I couldn't quite pin what I was doing. And so at that time, you didn't talk about people being on spectrums. We didn't even know what autism was in the late 70s and early 80s. And I'm not autistic, but during that time, there just wasn't a lot of people who knew how to help exceptional children who thought differently. And so I kind of stuffed my ability and hid it, and it affected me as an adult. I wasn't nearly doing all that I could do, as a being. So fast forward, and it kind of makes my story briefer. And about maybe a year ago, I started to really learn deeper about who I am and how I learn and liberate myself, give myself the freedom to do that. And my company allowed that to happen. And then we rebranded, we decided to give a tribute to that and allow it to fully manifest. And then as a result, it shifted the entire company. I immediately brought forth a book called The Indigo Approach, which is kind of going viral in the social media underground. And I think people love the Indigo Approach. Some people are in their book clubs, and they've actually replaced the Indigo Approach as the book of choice. One book club chose us over Think and Grow Rich. They were like, we'd rather read this than Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which was a shock to us. But in a way, it's very interesting because people want to be liberated. People are seeking freedom, and particularly melanated people from the African diaspora. We're constantly underestimated in our intellectual ability. So it is my pleasure to have an international company that is based in China, Canada, we're in Europe, we're all over, and especially we're in Africa. And we're making Africa our focus. When it comes to technology in particular, we're building a tech campus there eventually. We are really focused on elevating all the countries of Africa as intellectual supercenters. So that is what You Think Indigo is about. And it's an honor to be here. And I cannot wait to tell you more, Simon, in your podcast.
Yes, you're most welcome. Check your DM on Instagram. I just sent you the link that you can use to book so that you can be a guest on our podcast. And after that interview, I want us to explore more, what are the opportunities for you and your company to collaborate with One Vibe in Kenya. We had talked about this before, and now it looks like you guys have evolved. And so I'm interested for us to, build from there. Quite a few of my team members are also here listening. And they're taking notes, and we will do something together. And I can't say much. I just want to thank you and each of your team members, and also want to thank our audience members who have been here with us, diligently listening and also watching today's episode. This is episode 268. 268. So we are heading towards 300 very, very fast. And I'm very, very proud of the work we do here. Over 2 years, we've been producing episodes of this podcast. Each episode is, grounded with an African proverb. And so if you want to, gain more African wisdom, this is a great resource for you, whether you want to watch it or listen to it or read our blogs. We have blogs on my website that you can also check out and learn more. If you want to, stay connected with me, follow me on Instagram at OkeloJavan and send me a DM. I'll be able to respond really quickly. And then, connect with Lavender or Stella or Steven if you want to learn more about the work that we do at One Vibe Africa or One Vibe Media here in Seattle, where I am, and also in Kenya. Thank you again for being here with us today. This marks the end of our time together today. I deeply appreciate you. We will be back here 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for another amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.